everyone, welcome back to the LFC Toronto show. And we are feeling good today. We've got a new guest, we've got a few wins, we've got lots to look forward to. So let's just get right into the show. And I'm going to introduce our guest this week. We all love him. He's a big personality, is what they say in the Liverpool LFC Toronto community. So welcome to the LFC Toronto show, Rasam.
Hey man, thank you guys for having me. This is my second family. I love to be here. I'm excited for this, and I've watched the podcast. I think it's awesome. Thank you guys for having me, man. You guys are my second family. That's a fact. Oh God, yes. Okay, we'll have a whole thing. No, don't worry. I have a whole thing. Dan knows I have a whole thing. This is a great podcast. We love this podcast.
Yeah, it's a really fun podcast to record already, right? So, if you have seen the show, what we normally do with our amazing members of our community is ask them how you became a Liverpool fan, how you got connected with LFC Toronto. Give us all the details.
All right. I'm originally from Iran, born and raised there. And my dad is a United fan. And I never could relate to that team at all. From day one, I really couldn't. And I remember I love this fella with the weird Band-Aid on his nose. And I'm like, who is that guy? It was a Robbie Fowler. I'm like, whoa. And then there's this dude with long legs running like a gazelle, and it was McManaman. I'm like, whoa. And I'm not very tall. And then we had this little player whom I'm not even going to name, who was pretty good at one point.
He was.
And he was my idol. Like, I fell in love with that team from the get-go. And you guys know that, I've been part of the LFC Toronto, I think for like 17 years now. I've been in Toronto for, I think 22, maybe 18 years or something. At one point, I'm like, I got to catch these games. And I just searched, where do I needed people like me. Because, let's be fair. Like 20 years ago, there weren't that many of us, at least in the open, because Liverpool wasn't doing all that great. But I love that team. So that's how I got introduced. I used to go to Scally, and I had one of those old scarves with some person stole from me. I'm never going to let that go, ever, ever. I'm never going to let that go.
We got to hear that story.
Oh, 100%. I am so ticked off about it till this day.
So tell us the story.
I know exactly what happened. It was this, soccer, football, I'm good at, but it wasn't the sport I grew up playing. I played a lot of basketball. Basketball, I'm solid. I'm pretty good. Football, at my best, I'm average. I'm average. I attest to that. So, and I talk a lot of crap.
Oh, yeah. That's why we love you.
Really?
No.
No. I know. And that's the thing for me was basketball was awesome because, people underestimate you a little bit. If you have skills, you can pull it off. So, and I remember it was this gym at this school we were playing, and this kid kept talking a lot of smack. And, I put him down in his place. And I remember it was because it was my gym bag and my scarf was there. And then they grabbed one of my jerseys. It was a basketball jersey, like passing it around. And I could tell like something was missing. And I'm pretty sure I know who took it. It was the kid that, I talked a lot of shit to or crap to, whatever. And I told him like 6 months later, I'm like, listen, I think you took my scarf by accident. He's like, oh, I don't remember. I'm like, it's just a scarf. It's not a big deal, but I want it. Can I please have it back? And he's like, oh, I don't remember. Maybe I took it. I thought I gave it back to you. But he knows he didn't. And that's and for the longest time, I really wanted that scarf. But now I have a new scarf, which I love. I joined
Shout out to that kid.
Shout
out to that kid, for upsetting the apple cart, if you know what I mean.
And for anyone looking for a scarf, we do have LFC Toronto scarves.
You do. I was going to rock mine today.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
I have mine somewhere. I love them, by the way. Thank you for the LFC crew for that. I know the exact date that I at Scally. Shahab is awesome guy, and he speaks Persian too. So, I curse in Persian often in public, especially. It's really embarrassing. I'm not proud of this. I admit to that. So then Shahab doesn't look like he speaks a lot of Persian, but he turned around and he's like, "Oh," I'm like, "Oh crap, he understood me." When yeah. So then he's from Afghanistan. He's our neighbor. So we we bonded immediately. And then he was like hanging out with Jake and them. So I knew them. And then this jacket was my baby. I really loved it. And then Jake had the same jacket. So that's how kind of we connected. And he's the only other person I've seen with this jacket. Is that fair, Jake? Have you seen other people?
Yeah. Just a small aside here. Just a small aside for the viewers out there. Mr. Lotta, our president, has basically every single garment of clothing put out by LFC and the manufacturers. So don't be surprised if you see
Listen,
that jacket next
every
week.
single one.
transfers. I support the transfers. Holistically, I support the transfers.
I genuinely,
Anyway.
I thought I have a bunch of kids before I really met you guys, and then there's like me, and then there's like average Liverpool fan, and then there's like Jake.
Then
You
and
can't
Jake,
see
and then
my
you have
hand.
Zaz, and then you have
Russell,
Zaz
get back
above
to your
that.
story, bro.
I'm sorry.
Mate, get back to your story.
Yes.
Get back to your story.
And the day that Jake and I really bonded was the first leg versus City. I remember because I could not. I was up since like 6 a.m. It was a Champions League game. I was up at 6 a.m. I couldn't sit in my chair. I was just like,
You remember who we were playing?
Manchester City, Champions League,
Oh,
first leg.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah. Okay,
and City was like,
2018. Of course. We were major underdogs.
Major underdogs. And I'm like, I'm just going to go. And I went to the bar at like 11:30. Lo and behold, Jake is sitting there. And that was it. It was me and Jake. And there's nobody, because the game, I think the kickoff was at 3. So then we started talk and had a bunch of Carlsbergs.
It was my Dr. Clock meeting at 12 o'clock. That's kind of
That's a great segue, Jake, because we want to just talk about how awesome it's been connecting with other OLFC communities on some of our social platforms. We just decided to have a bit of fun. And the games are 3 p.m. for us, usually in Toronto time. So we just had a little bit of banter with the fact that us Liverpool fans in Eastern Standard Time, just generally for some reason on a Tuesday or Wednesday, seem to have a random business meeting or a doctor's appointment, and it all seems to happen at the same time.
Coincidence.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I come up with the flu quite often on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. It's really strange. It's so weird. It's so weird. I'm just unavailable. Weird. My phone goes dead. It's no reception. It's a whole thing. It's weird. I don't know the root cause, but
Yeah.
So that's how it was, and then the family grew, man. That's it.
And so Jake, we got a couple of got some banter going with OLSC in Brooklyn and in Mainz, Germany, right?
Yeah. We also get, like, from time to time, we've also got our Boston folks that are always chiming in on each other's posts, which is great, right? It's so interesting to see that we all have the same meetings, all around the world, and the OLSC family is just, and commenting in the excitement. You feel the excitement in all the posts, right? And it's so interesting to see on match day, like that specific message, like coordinated almost all around the world, being like, okay, this time this is what's happening, this time this is what's happening. And the euphoria just, for the game, and everyone's just excited, which is great. And you know what? We're growing the LFC community worldwide, which is fantastic. And this is just part of the process, which is great.
And one thing I want to tag on to that, and based on what Rasam just said, just on our local community, because absolutely agree on the global, we're a massive family, but I kind of had a similar experience to Rasam. I'm not going to recant that on this show, but because it's a lengthy one, but it does speak to our inclusiveness as a club. You
100%.
could have a fellow Red who doesn't know where to watch a match, but they're welcome in our club. They're welcome at our bars.
100%.
In our family, in our WhatsApp group. As long as things are kept very respectful, folks are always open arms, and that's one thing that we do as an LFC Toronto family, is we welcome folks from all walks of life, from all areas of the world, and glad that you shared that, Rasam. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I've always felt very included. I genuinely love you guys. When I see it, like, Dan, I hadn't seen you in a couple of weeks, and just bring a smile to my face, man. I love you guys. You guys are
wow. Tears to the eyes. Anyway, let's get into it.
So back to
Let's
business.
do it.
Since we started this show, we're only on episode 5, so this show's still a baby at the moment, and we're feeding it and nurturing it and promoting it and just getting really excited. But since we started, this was the biggest week in regards to matches for when we recorded our last episode. And today we had 3 matches, 2 in the Premier League, 1 in the Champions League, 1 at home to Leicester, 2 away, Burnley, and then Inter. And we got 3 wins. So I'm just going to roundtable this and get everyone to pipe in with some of their thoughts and comments. Let's start with Leicester. Seems so long ago now. It was actually 6 days ago. Comfortable 2-0 win, Dan? What do you think?
I'm really like caught off guard here because I sort of forget what actually happened in that match after watching the other two. But no, it was at home. We did them. I mean, it was somewhat of a competitive match. I think I had made a prediction that we were going to blow them out, but credit to them, they stuck into the match. You know, Diogo, I think he had hit 2 on that match, right? And I think I'm trying to recall my memory here, but you know, with the I think Mo made a sub right in midway through, right? So he was still coming back. But credit to Diogo, who's the best striker in the league. I saw this thing on social media, by the way, about the best Portuguese player. I forgot who tweeted it, and it was like, you know, something about who was it? Oh no, it was actually Sid 60. I'm gonna call it Sid right now if he's watching.
My man,
local Toronto personality, BT Breakfast Television. Sid, you got it all wrong, bro. Portuguese team, Diogo's the man. Okay, he brings it every single game, including the last Euro and all that kind of stuff. So, and he definitely brought it in that match, and he's a match winner. I'm so glad he's part of this squad. And as far as Leicester goes, Brendan's in big trouble. You know, you could see it. They were also resting a few sort of players there, and I don't know. I think we just handle our business as usual. Which you know, if you look back a month, we did somewhat struggle, but that was just our getting in our offense and all that kind of stuff. But otherwise, handle it nicely and moved on.
And Rasam, it was the first time we got to see our new Colombian sensation. First impressions, I guess, mainly tailored to that game, because he obviously came on today as well. What did you think? First start for Luis Diaz. What did you make of that debut?
I had watched him before at Porto, obviously, because you know, Porto, his you know, a buddy next to him is an Iranian player, Mehdi Taremi, right? So I knew about him a little bit because of that connection. Although, you know, Taremi kind of plays for Persian United, and I like the Persian, like, you know, Liverpool. So he's not really a favorite player of mine anyway. It's not here or there. So I knew of him. I thought it was a great pickup for us. He played fantastic. Honestly, I was surprised by the pressure. I thought he might struggle, but he's quicker than he looks, and his pressures are relentless. It's like, you know, Jota, like Bobby. You know, he's like, you know, I thought it was awesome. He's gonna get his monkey off his back. He's gonna score, I think, next match. I'm feeling optimistic.
I think what really helped him in the Leicester game was he came on in the FA Cup game, and he set up a goal. He set up Harvey's goal, right? And that was at the Cop end as well. So I feel like that there was the monkey off his back, and he was amazing. And Jay, just to round off the Leicester game, so we had 22 shots on goal. So although Diogo was our man of the match, it's never a bad thing when the opposition goalie has a big shout for the man of the match. Just take us home with that game. Any parting thoughts?
It seems that every season there's about 4 games. I'd say about 4 games where the opposing keeper, doesn't matter in what competition, has a worldly of a showing against us, right? Like we can pepper, you know, we had 20 plus shots. We had 60 something percent possession in that game. And we moved the ball. We did all the right things. And of course, these people, you know, even with their eyes closed, they are quality keepers. Don't get me wrong, because they are in the positions that they're, you know, we have to give them quality, like props. But nevertheless, like they are just, you know, I don't know if they're just rising to the occasion, right? And enjoying their moments against us, right? Because I would imagine
I think that has a lot to do with it.
I would want to show up, right? I would want to be the guy. I'm like, I would be revved up. I'm playing against this. And then, of course, also some of those keepers are also boyhood Liverpool fans as well, right? So for them, the standpoint, like, you know, they are, you know, these are their moments for them to shine as well. And of course, Schmeichel has been doing that against us for time and time again. And I thought on paper, because of the last, I'm going to say 5 matches of how things have played out, right? That you know, we're going to struggle to break down. Again, I don't know what my prediction was for this one. I don't know if I said 2-0 or 3-1.
I think you had it closer than the blowout for sure. Yeah.
But nevertheless, you know what? Like, you know, in the end, what the case is that we, you know, before previous seasons, we would struggle to break down those types of teams and get that creativity past. And then now we have the talent, and our top 6 is phenomenal now. Top 6 is phenomenal. Can interchange. And of course, it showed this way with Diogo. And you know what? I'm so happy that he's 23 or 4 and he's here to stay for several years, right? So bodes well for us, that the future is really bright for us.
And then 3 days later, we went to Burnley, and it was such a different game from the lights of Anfield, Luis Diaz debut, first Premier League game in 18 days for Leicester, and yet then we take this short, I know my geography of the northwest of England, we take this short trip to Burnley, and it's like cold, it's rainy, it looks disgusting. We're in our glorious away jersey, so we looked the part, but what else would we expect but a 1-0 at Turf Moor, Dan?
Yeah, it was just as as the old saying goes, right? Like, can you do it on a rainy night and in the northwest, or
in Burnley,
wherever, right? And it was really that. I mean, it was like a squeaky bum sort of overall match, right? I mean, so the conditions were poor. They're a very big, strong team. Sean Dyche plays a certain way. Generally well organized. The crowd is really on it, right? But Fab has been our best player this year. I mean, you can say no, you could say but overall, he's scoring goals. He's like a vacuum cleaner, as we know in today's match, when we'll talk about that. But I mean, he was just all over the place, and what a player we have. I think I watched something on another LFC related podcast about how we should maybe look at Declan Rice, and like all these different sort of DM players. And one thing I want to call out is the value of having a recognized DM like Fab, because if you look at it, and experts have said it, look at the collection of talent, for example, at United. And there's a lot of different players and individual talents, a lot of problems there. But one of the biggest things that they don't have, for example, is a proper recognized DM. And they were in for Fab way back when. Like, they were rumored to have him under contract, but we stole him. We worked our magic. Jurgen just dropped him a line or a DM, and then he's right in our team, and he's vital. He's the spine. He's part of that spine that keeps us together. So it was really nice to see him score and also influence the match. Yeah.
On that point as well, the crazy thing is, another shout out. We've done this a couple of times. Another shout out to our transfer strategy, because the reason United pulled out of the Fabinho deal, and they. We probably would have got him because Klopp has that clout. But one of the reasons they pulled out of that deal was because they allegedly got caught into a battle for Fred with Man City. And we never do that. Like, if we can get someone, we go and get them, like we backdoored Tottenham a couple of weeks ago. But we never hear of us getting involved in like who will they sign for kind of thing. Like Alisson, Real Madrid were interested, massive club, European champions. They beat us in the final that year, and we just went and like got our guy. Van Dijk, Man City
everybody
made a
wanted
last-minute
him.
bid. Yeah, and Man City made a last-minute bid to try and buy him, but like the business was done. So yeah, great point you raised there, Dan, about like just the good business. And what's really interesting between you and I, Dan, is you're a massive Naby fan, as we both know, and Naby and Fab were the Fab were the two guys that summer that I was like, who do I get on my purple shirt? I was like, who do I get? Who do I get? And I was working with this awesome Irish guy, shout out Donica at the time, and he was like, I'm gonna get Naby, and then I was like, I'm just gonna get Fab. Not that it was like a second place thing. I was just like, you know what? We work on the same floor. It's gonna be a bit weird if we're both walking around with this shirt. So I was like, yeah, done. And I don't remember having a number 3 on my shirt either, whereas I obviously had lots of number 8s because of Stevie. So then I went the Fab route, and like I just feel like the kudos I get, because like, oh, you were early on Fab, and I was like, yeah, I feel like we were just like actually so blessed at that time.
That's actually an underrated thing, by the way, because and the transfer strategy aside, I think Jurgen's pull, and for our next manager, whoever that may be, and obviously that's rumored to be Stevie or whoever else, but that pull as a manager is kind of key. But just on the Fabinho thing, I actually got the away kit, the yellow kit in Fab, so. Yeah, I'm so glad I got that, because I want to rock that for like the final or something like that. But sorry.
Amazing. Yeah, no. So Rasam, when it comes to the Burnley game, that was the second game in a row, including Leicester, where we think Mo should have had a penalty. What do you think?
That was okay. So a few points I wanted to mention. One, Fab has been incredible. I read, I think it was on Reddit after the match where it said, 50-50s with Fabinho is like 70-30. And I thought that was very apt. It's very true. He's awesome at it. Like, he just cleans it up. He's just like, as you guys said, vacuums it up. I think it was fantastic. I'm not a Dyche fan. I think, I don't know, I don't like, I understand why his teams play a certain way against us. And it's the right way against the Liverpool, especially, with that. I get it. I'm just, I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry, I forgot your question.
No, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Okay. I was just saying, Mo. So
that was so obvious.
Point,
no, yeah. Obvious. Yeah. So I'm gonna calm down a little bit. I'm gonna calm down. I went out.
Bring it up, buddy. Bring it up.
No, I bloody lost it, man. Because I saw. I'm like, all right, that's the penalty. And I went to VAR. I'm like, okay, that's obvious. Like, he tackled him. That's a penalty. And then they just let it play on. And I actually sent the clip to my buddies, I have a buddy who's a Madrid fan and I love him aside from football. I bloody hate him. If he's like, yeah, I think that's a foul. What do you mean you think that's a foul? He kicked him. So what is he supposed to do? So he dives. He's a diver, but when he kicked him on the leg, he tried to stay up. There's a VAR that didn't call it. Is it genuinely believe that's not a penalty? Because in my opinion, that's just stone cold penalty. I'm not being like, I'm trying to be as objective as possible. To me, that was 100% a penalty.
100% penalty.
Yeah. Right?
Both of them were. Yeah, the Leicester one was.
Even the Leicester one, yeah.
Yeah.
You just kicked them without a ball, yeah.
Yeah. So look, we always talk about late tackles, right? So a late tackle is where somebody's played the ball and then they get caught afterwards. Why does it matter if it's a pass or a shot? Like a late tackle.
I think it doesn't.
It doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't. It's Mo Salah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry, Dan, please finish that.
I was just going to say, like, here's what I do sometimes, and I don't know if you guys do the same thing, but whenever there's a controversial play, like especially tackles in the box, right, or fouls in the box, I always think about who is the best player in the world at that time. And now we have the best player in the world. But, prior seasons, it was, let's say, Messi or Ronaldo, whoever, right? And if you put that player with that same play in the box, would that player get that call? And 100% of the time, it's the personality and it's also the league. So like our refereeing the English referees are really poor, A, and B, the standard that Mo is refereed at, I feel is totally unfair because people start looking at prior incidents and, he may have had one or two where, okay, a striker or a winger and you're, trying to draw contact, but Mo's a fair player and he's not one to go to ground easy. Now, opposing fans will probably say, yeah, right. But on balance, he's pretty fair. And so I
agree.
I always think about, anyway, so Jake, I don't know if you had a thought on that one. But
I think from the game itself, one of my fears over the last 2-3 years was we know that our front 3/4 are going to get the goals. My worry was always the midfield and always has been the midfield. Now it's very interesting to have a defensive midfielder chip in with 7 goals, right? Like he should technically have no bearing to be in the box. Like he should be just in front of the back two, technically speaking, or maybe around the 18 to ready to be able to mop up the mess. Yeah. And for him to be in the positions, like, he was in the 6-yard box basically at that Burnley match, right? And he's in the positions, and he's like, you think he's relatively slight, I think, right? But I think he's about 6'4", right?
Yeah, he's tall.
Right?
Set pieces.
So he's got those kind of Inspector Gadget kind of legs, which I also call Matip. Matip has the same kind of long, lanky frame. But he's in the positions now, and I think he's got the knack, right? He's he's feeling the vibe now. He's getting the social media like exploits, like everyone's loving this, and I think he's feeling that magic of scoring. I mean, his wife is tweeting and putting messages.
I saw that.
Fantastic. So cool. So he's getting some great support overall, which enhances his demeanor. And like I feel that he's like contributing. Like he's got 7 goals in like our midfield, right? I mean, I don't even know what the collective unit of our midfield scoring is at the moment, right? Thiago's got a couple. Right, I can't remember. Harvey's got one, of course.
That's a couple.
Oh yes, of course, you're a Navi lad, right? But collectively speaking, like he's one of the top ones, right? And positioning, like you want an attacking midfielder to be getting that or distributing the ball, whatever the case is. But to get that from a positional player on a defensive mindset is like glorious for us, right? So
priceless.
Could I add one more thing to that?
Of course.
And this is a smaller thing, especially in Europe, where it really matters, as opposed to in England and domestic cups, especially in the Champions League, or I don't know if you've noticed it with Fab as compared to our other midfielders. Maybe Hendo's sort of learned it now, but if you look at like the wide swath of them, right? Curtis can learn a lot from Fab, but the professional fouls he takes,
I love it,
right?
Yeah.
Like there's tactical fouls, and there's the smarts and the intelligence that he has that, I'll be honest, I don't think we have in every single. I mean, so today I actually noticed that with Harvey. There were a few times where Harvey is like like our son. It feels like,
he's
right?
our baby. He's our baby.
And you protect him, and you just have that affinity for him. And credit to him, he's doing amazing. He's going to do amazing things for us. But he also has to develop that. That sort of little bit of a mean streak I said in the chat. But I think it's the same thing. You got to know when to take a tactical foul. Be a bit of a shithouse. I'll be honest with you. You have to have a little bit of that in you. I'm not saying go full Suarez on it, people, but I'm just saying
finish my sentence in my head. I was genuinely gonna finish with full Suarez, whereas everybody else was thinking of Suarez
or Vidal today, or like Vidal, for example. Today. But anyway.
I'd argue we haven't had that since Haman, and I was a massive Mascherano fan. But the thing with Mascherano was he was either winning the ball a lot fairly, or his fouling was like yellow cardish, and then he would lose his head.
Lucas Leiva, Lucas
Yeah.
Leiva. It was exactly like Leiva. Leiva picking up a late foul when we're winning 1-0 at like 93rd minute. Wasn't that like the standard?
Yeah, and we were just all
I have PTSD of that.
Nice shot to Lucas. Right? The respect to Lucas.
Haman was the last guy who I remember. Like, there's a chance of a counter, and he would just stop it happening and just kind of like run away, and like sometimes the ref would be like, "You come back here," kind of thing. And like, there's shades of that with Fab. Jake, you've gone last on the last two games, so I'm going to kick you off this time, and it's the most recent one, and it's arguably the most glorious one because we all love this baby over here. Talk to us about today's game. Big win.
It's so interesting to see our predictions from last week, and looking at the stats and seeing how identical they were to ours, right? Second in the table, like so many stats were completely like sync with ours. And so today, for instance, a couple of things were like, I was looking at Harvey today, that was a surprise selection for me, right? And of course, he's in the San Siro. There's 100,000 people in that. Technically, it holds, of course, capacity. I think whatever was in there. Nevertheless, it's that grand, scale of the event. Or did it get to him a little bit? Was it overwhelming to a certain degree? And also, like, I felt that we were a little bit passive today with respect to the match a little bit. I know I'm going to be a bit of critical because, like, in our chat today, I was looking at when the ball was being played across the passing, it looked like for me, and I'm going to be a little bit, it looked like the grass was a bit long and the ball didn't move as fast. I'm going to say that.
I saw that. No, I genuinely.
It's not my own personal perspective.
Hey, viewers, we have a long grass guy here.
Anyways,
I'm joking.
I'm just saying. But you know what? And kudos to them. They had some really good plays. Like, they hit the crossbar, right? And I didn't. I think Trent had a relatively poor game overall, which by his standards. I know he made some great passes, and I could just see VVD just yelling constantly for the first 15 or 20 minutes, positionally speaking. Martinez had some great plays from them as well, and I think our midfield got a bit overrun to certain degrees. And don't get me wrong, we were in really good offensive positions. We were good, and I did really enjoy the boldness of some of the changes that happened. So I think Diego's injury, that's a bad thing from us. But just the change with Naby Lad, and Hendo coming in and Diaz coming in, you can see innately, Hendo's already revving everybody up. So you got to be at attention almost, right? And then Diaz, you can see his positional sense, like he didn't stop running. He was moving around, he's given a little bit of light and a little bit of fire. And so it's great to add a new dimension to our attacking capabilities, which was fantastic. And thank goodness we ended up on that 2-0, advantage. Again, there's no away goals, but nevertheless, coming back to Anfield in a couple weeks to try to get 3 goals is going to be a tough chore for them. But great win from our side for sure.
Absolutely. I was today with the LFC Toronto folks in Elephant and Castle, and one of the things I said was, it's crazy. Other than a Materazzi red card in the Anfield game in 2008, it was very similar. Like if Inter had won, we couldn't have turned around and said they didn't deserve anything from this. Mm-hmm. And yet that day, Kaut scored a late goal, and Gerrard scored a beautiful in the San Siro. Yeah. And like it was the same thing. Like it was almost like a stay in there, be professional. Of course, this was at the San Siro, not there. And like, yeah, crazy to see the similarities between the two games. Rasam, in terms of like Bobby coming on, he's almost like becoming a bit more of a forgotten man in terms of goals. We all jumped on Luis Diaz. We already know who Mane, and we already know how big Mane and Mo are for us.
Of course.
Everyone's looking at the emergence of Jota, and then look who it is who pops up and breaks the goal, like who breaks the deadlock.
I watched the first half as I was working. I tried my best to get to the bar. Unfortunately, I couldn't. But I watched the entire second.
Oh, wasn't there the appointment in your schedule?
It really was. Oh. It really was. And unfortunately, something came. It was I had developed a perfect plan for me not to be available during those hours. Unfortunately, it didn't work. I'm still honestly ticked off a little bit about it, but it's not here or there. I watched the second half fully, and in the calmness and all that. I thought it was interesting. The few things I noticed, because I knew we were going to talk about it. One was early on, I think even Allison figured Trent is struggling, so he stopped passing it to him. I thought that was interesting. He kept going to the left after a while. If you guys go back, I think it was noticeable. Van Dijk and Trent didn't have a good game. Bobby, though, the fact that the 3 subs happened, it's such an unlike club move ever. The only thing I've ever wanted club to kind of tweak was the late subs, and maybe he would favor the players that were struggling and make sure give them that extra chance to motivate them and show themselves. And that was amazing. Bobby came. He's one of my absolute favorite players. I love him. The song is always in my head, and the header was. And if you guys look, the genius of changing Trent, taking the corners and putting Andy on that corner. That was the first one they did it, and Inter struggled. So I was watching the game, differently as I got home. So that was the first time that they switched them. Prior to that corner, Trent was taking them, and then Andy switched and took it. And if you see, I think it might have been Van Dijk that called it, because Van Dijk was so happy and it was pointing. It's like as if I called it. It's like, hey, it was my idea to do this. It was brilliant. Nice corner, first leg. But I just heard, I didn't know Jota got injured. So that kind of surprised me. I had a feeling him subbing Jota at half was weird, very unlike. I haven't had a chance to follow up the news. So he picked up something? He's okay though?
Ankle injury.
Ankle injury. Hopefully it's not too serious. Yeah. Oh, by the way, there was another injury. I think Hendo's head, the back of his head got kind of, Can we acknowledge the fact that I've been team Hendo for many, many years? Yes. And
Hendo Respect coming in changed the freaking game.
He did. Yeah.
He changed the entire game. The entire game got changed with Hendo. And as I was watching the match, I'm like, you know what? If Hendo had some Spanish name, he would get more respect.
I 100% agree.
I said it.
Mic drop right there, right? Yeah.
Yes.
No, do you know what? Like, I think Evie said it. Or we were talking about it in the chat. Shout out Evie, by the way.
Yep.
70th minute, right? So Inter played us really, really well. Obviously at home, energy. They were going back and forth. It was almost like a bang bang sort of affair. Reminded us of like 16, 17 club era, right? Just like shotgun sort of match. And yeah, we weren't really at it. Trent was struggling, like you said, and some of our passes weren't on point. But I felt like those subs just injected that energy. And if you compare the training methods of LFC, and I'm not, chastising Inter because I'm sure they have professionals and nutritionists and all that kind of stuff. But like, we're drilled to press, right? And they, I think, tried to match our press, and
you can't do that,
or at least play up and play up high. And I think they tried the long ball. They tried Dumfries on the right, on the right behind, long balls through. Martinez, through and it was like we just hung with them until until those mass subs, and as soon as they came on, Naby, Hendo, just bossed it. Like they were just like energy, closing down spaces, and it's hard to close down spaces at the San Siro. Like that's one thing I think I mentioned in the prior podcast. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but the big field, I think they struggle on that pitch versus like the smaller pitches, right? So like on Anfield, like you're literally like crowded by us, right? Everybody feels like that. But if you go to like the Etihad or you go to like the San Siro, for example, I mean, like they have more spaces to outlet and avoid and play through us, and that's what happened in the first half. We were getting played through a lot, and whether that's Harvey a little bit in his naivete or any of that stuff, it felt like we just shored that up with Hendo. So shout out Hendo, shout out Rasam, who always gives him his props and his flowers.
Always
so
hashtag Team Hendo. If we go back to the chat logs, genuinely like 5-6 years of me, taking that on the chin and saying hashtag Team Hendo. I love him, man. I could not have pictured anybody filling in Jared's shoes, and I'm not saying he has, but he's done an incredible job, more than even I could have imagined, and I love having him. Man. He's the heart and soul of the team, 100%.
Proper captain. Dan, you raise a great point on the fitness, but also just to add to that as well, is back to this transfer strategy. It keeps coming up. Like you look at Inter on paper, the talk on the table I was at Elephant and Castle, and also I have a WhatsApp group with my brother and other Liverpool fans as well. And simultaneously in both chats, the conversation was about Inter will wane after 65, 70 minutes, because the average age of the squad, they're all younger than most of us still. So I'm not being ageist. At the end of the day, you look at the makeup of our team, and it's got the experience, it's got the younger lads. You put Harvey in at the start when the pressure was going to be bigger than he's used to at Anfield, but it's not like the end of the game, and it's like it was played perfectly by Klopp. And to Rasam's point, he's not usually a big 3 changes in a moment.
Mourinho's and at halftime too with Fergie.
Fergie's done that so much before. But Klopp has usually not done that. He's got his game plan, but this one, I feel like we were all on point as a fan base and as a team to be like, they can't hang with us for 90. They can hang with us for 60. They can hang,
No, just to that point, think about it. Vidal, Dzeko, and Sanchez. I mean, those are obviously stars and 10, maybe 5 years ago. Or
even
10 years ago, but now they're on reduced wages.
10 is not that far.
I mean, Dzeko's, 10,
and
credit to them though. I mean, they're still performing, they're still, hanging in an Italian Serie A. But like you said, when you're putting them on to come in and run and hang with the Liverpool well-drilled Klopp outfit, gegenpress the hell out of you, good luck, man. Just good luck.
Imagine being Perisic, right? So Perisic is he's towards the latter stages of his career.
Mm-hmm.
The whole time he's had to basically try to watch the best right back in the world, whether he's had a great game or not, up and down, up and down. Then they bring, people on who are the same in terms of athleticism. You've got to be at 65, 70 being really? I have to do this now when I've no energy for 20 more minutes.
It's that demoralizing feeling. You're just running out of it, right? You're I can't continue.
That was another point. Speaking of demoralizing, after the second goal, they knew. I don't want to jinx it, but they knew.
I wish though. I wish we killed it off then. I know we played a little bit passive and we had possession, and sometimes it does. I do kick myself in terms of I wish we had that last killer instinct, almost like when we had the United up, we should have just tried to hammer them. Right,
100%.
In this case, in this case, both of those kinds of games, they mean quite a bit in positionally speaking. So we have that thing it's 5 minutes to go or 7 minutes to go. You see they're reeling. they're almost like holding, for lack of better, they're almost holding their shorts. You can see their facial expressions. They're like, the shoulders are down. They're not up. Everything's, you can see their beaten side. Like I wish we just go and just grab them by the throat and just kind of hammer them. But you know what? In the end, we won, which is fine. But you can see what we did to them, which is,
The biggest thing though was keeping the clean sheet. Like I thought that was like massive. I mean, I know away goals and a home and away, whatever, but now they're unitary, right? So, but or equal. But like, I don't know. I felt like we just didn't even play that well, and we came away with a 2-0.
We
right?
didn't. There was a couple of like weird key moments for me. Like one time, like Lautaro Martinez is like running at Van Dijk, and we all burst out laughing because he didn't want any of it. Like he ran towards, like, this is like a, like a swaggy Argentinian, Italian Serie A champion, probably wants Messi's shirt. And like he ran towards Van Dijk and was like, yeah, I'm going towards the corner flag. And this is at 0-0. So Jake, I completely agree with you. The only thing I wish we had done 3-0 and just killed it, because then we can focus on all the way. Then we're in the quarter kind of thing, and we can, but what I just think is like, who's going to do anything to us at Anfield based on today's performance?
Agreed.
Miracles happen. We
never know,
that.
knock on wood.
Yeah. We know miracles happen. Yeah.
And we know which miracle happened when they were 3-0 up, for example, and thought everything was sorted. So I agree with you. I think the scoreline, could have been more. But at the end of the day, like, I just have confidence in our squad. And we have so much depth. I said this in the chat. I think Sam, shout out our VP Sam, because I'm on the pod right now. But no, Sam said to me, or I said, there's like a I think I just forgot my thought. Oh my god. Anyway, I digress. I'll probably think about it later.
I love it.
Right,
hey, listen, this is a great podcast.
It's a great podcast. So maybe I'm
great
just
podcast.
So we're gonna try to wrap the podcast up because we're creeping up to about the hour, and we don't want an hour long podcast. So to wrap this podcast up, what I'm gonna say is, Dan, you give us a preview to Norwich home, Rasam Leeds, Norwich home, and then Jake, please, once again, because we have to keep saying it, let us know about our multiple Carabao Cup plans, which are getting closer and closer. Dan, Norwich at home.
Absolutely, but before Norwich, I just remember the thought. So I was just thinking about the depth we have. There was I know. Sorry, guys. Sorry, you're keeping us on point.
I love you, Dan.
No,
it just made me feel better because I dropped the ball before. I'm sorry,
right?
I feel fucking bloody better. I'm good.
Are you trying to say I dropped balls? No, anyway.
No.
Please don't comment on that. But anyway, no. When the camera like panned to Joe Gomez and Ox, I don't know about you guys, but when you're talking about key moments, it just hit me at that point. I'm like, we have amazing depth. Like, if they can't get on the pitch, like Joe Gomez was in our starting lineup in our Champions League run as well, or maybe around it, but definitely the PL run. And Ox, I mean, what he's done in Champions League and even this season, right? So anyway, so that being said, Norwich, I don't want to make any drastic, sort of prognostications or predictions, but I just can't see how at Anfield we can't come away with the win. I'm not going to get into 5-0 or anything like that, but no, I think it should be relatively straightforward. But again, it's playing midweek and then the weekend we have to get up for it. It's the Premier League, so anything can happen, but I think we're going to be fine. It's Jurgen rotating too, by the way. Mane came off.
That's true.
Jogo, hopefully. So yeah.
And then Rasam, we were going to, after Norwich, go and look forward to the Carabao Cup, and then they stuck Leeds in between. Just want to say Leeds have a shorter lead time than we do. So we play Saturday, Wednesday. Leeds play Sunday, Wednesday. So I think that almost favors us as well. And it's obviously the Boxing Day game rearranged. Yeah. Can you see any banana skins there, or are we just in that role now?
I think we should be okay. I would like to say I do have other stuff, but this kit and this jacket, I am undefeated for many years now. I was just telling the guys, the only game I have ever been in part of that we didn't get the results in the first leg was the first leg of versus Barcelona, the famous, I don't really want to get into that. So because of this prediction, I will be there, and I'm going to make sure this happens. And hopefully I'm not jinxing it. I think 2-0. I think we got this. I think 2-0, and I deep down in my heart, I want Jurgen to give Milner a little bit more time versus Leeds. Am I the only one that feels like,
Leeds, because of the Leeds connection?
Yeah.
And please make sure, if I can just ask, that you watch that, every now and then, or is that gonna not go watch?
Okay, I want.
Please tell me, like, what's the. Sorry.
So I've had this genuinely been asked. Okay, few things. One is the jacket is always pristine. The jacket is pristine, and the shirt, I always wear undershirts, and I do wash it, but I wash it inside out, and it is going out. But at this point, just because it's an Adidas one, at least it shows I've been a fan. I've been a fan longer. That's honestly, at this point, it's not even about the love
I just love the superstitiousness and keeping.
It's stupid.
I love it.
I'm not even superstitious. I'm not even that stupid. But it works.
It's working.
Statistically, statistically significant at this point. 2-0.
Doing what you're doing, bro.
2-0.
Okay.
One love.
And Jake, so we're getting closer. It's now almost a week and a half.
What's really, really great is that I wish that the COVID restrictions were going to be lifted by the time the cup was being played, but shortly thereafter from a capacity perspective. But nevertheless, which is great, we're getting a lot of fantastic numbers in all 3 locations, and so the tickets are going fast. There's not many left. So please, I implore you to go to our website to get some tickets, just to make sure that we can capture the COVID numbers. But the proceedings look fantastic. The numbers look great. The atmosphere in all 3 places are going to be fantastic, which bodes well for us. Hopefully, we do well that game. But again, please, I implore you to go to our social media, find our links, find our website, go on to the member section, and then there's some free tickets, and they're free tickets. So please, I implore you to get them and get your names on the list, and make sure you get a seat in those fantastic locations in Burlington, Elvin Castle, and of course our home, the Madison.
Very much so. Guys, this was a blast. It's crazy how quickly this was meant to be 40 minutes. We've done an hour.
No, I can't believe it's been a long.
Shout out to O Sesame.
If you guys wanted to, there's O Sesame is good, if you guys wanted to. I love you guys. I mean, I can't, when you guys say it's been an hour, I'm like, wow, it's been an hour. I love you guys. I mean that. I love Liverpool. LFC Toronto is life, man. You guys are special.
Life.
I love it. Amazing. We're going out on a high. It's been a great week. It's going to be another great week. We can feel it. So thank you for watching. Link, subscribe, share the podcast, and see you next week.
Up the Reds.
Take care, guys.